Okay. All right. Good morning, y'all. Good afternoon, y'all. This is welcome to Brown Liquor Conversations. I am Laura, your host, and today we are talking about let's be honest. We're talking about relationships, and I have a host of folks on today. Some are families, and all are friends. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go left to right and let them introduce themselves. Give them like a 1 minute to say where they're calling from and then what they do. Okay. Start with you, Jordan.
Oh, shoot. Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Jordan. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm a music producer, DJ, musician. Yeah, so happy to be here.
All right. And next up is Douglas.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Doug Wright, and I'm in Los Angeles, California. I'm a structural technician for SpaceX, and yeah, just happy to join.
Thank you. All right. Jael and Ashley.
Ladies first.
Hey everyone, I'm Ashley. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I currently work in insurance and also I love dogs. I'm a pet sitter and currently in school to get my certification to be a dog trainer.
And I am Jiele, Washington, in Atlanta as well. I do Uber during the day, and I'm a producer, DJ as well. And yeah, just happy to be here too.
All right. Thank you. And Dion. That's my baby.
Hi guys, my name's Dion. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm from Valdosta, or originally from Los Angeles, but currently in Valdosta, Georgia. Um, I don't know what else to ask. Is that it?
It's all right. Thank you for
Cool.
being here. And we my other son Jonathan, she's just listening in, but you can see his name. So I just want to give you a quick overview. So Brown Liquor Conversations came about because when we were kids, we were taught to not be in grown folks' conversations. Like we had to leave the room because they were talking about stuff that we didn't need to talk about. But now we're grown and we want to talk about it. So that's where that came from. And of course, if there's anyone on the call or who's going to listen later, if you know anything about alcohol, usually when the regular stuff is out there, everything is pretty mellow. But when you bring out the brown liquor, that's when stuff changes. The atmosphere completely changes, right? So here we go. We're getting ready to talk about some stuff. But before I do that, I do want to introduce Darrell, who is my co-partner in this. And I have to read his bio. So Dr. Darrell Wright is a licensed pastoral counselor. He has his PhD in philosophy of Christian counseling from Jacksonville Theological Seminary, and he has co-pastored at several ministry projects. He has three adult children, Lauren, Joshua, and Douglas, and two grandchildren, Aiden and Mael. So he's going to be chiming in as well. He'll probably be guiding this more than I will, but or whatever. But again, we're having fun. We're talking about it. So our first question to to the group. That was a dog. Our first question to the group is why relationships matter. Like, why do y'all think relationships matter? Jordan.
Um, that's a good question. I feel like relationships matter because I feel like if you I feel like in general, relationships help you build, a certain characteristic, just good qualities. I think they help mold you into a better person. If you meet the right person or people, like even if it's just friends, like business, relationships, all that, I feel like it just helps you. It helps mold you into like a better person in general. But as far as romantic, I feel like everybody has, desires, they have wants, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's good to have somebody that can provide that for you. So yeah.
All right, that's good. Thank you for answering that. What about you, Douglas? What do you think? Why do relationships even matter? Like,
That's a loaded question. I believe two is better than one, in groups that are functional are to be desired, but also on the other end, it can be very detrimental if um, we pair the wrong people, so to say. So in the most optimistic way, relationships build people and build futures and paths and purposes. In the worst way, it can be it can be bad. So I see it both ways. A healthy relationship is desired. An unhealthy one is not worth having.
mm, I like that. I like that. All right, Jiele and Ashley, I saw y'all commented. So what do you think about what Douglas said?
I agree. I've been on both opposing sides, having a bad relationship and having great relationships. I think with having a great relationship, just having the community, having someone that, you know, you can talk to, having a friendship out of that, just being able to see outside of yourself sometimes, because I feel like we get so caught up in looking at our own perspective that having someone else to be able to pull you out of that, you can see life a little bit differently and be able to grow in the right direction. But then on the opposing side, when you have a bad relationship, I think it can be very toxic at times. I think it can put you in a really dark space if you don't have someone that has your best interest. So I feel like I can piggyback on both sides.
Yeah, and I would agree. I think having healthy relationships is definitely beneficial to yourself and also to, of course, the people around you, and it helps you to know when to be selfish and also know when to be selfless and within the same breath. So I think it's important to know how to navigate yourself as well as other people around you to know how to like coexist and all that stuff. So
Wow. Okay, y'all grown. All
yeah, good talking.
right, Dr. D, what do you think about that? Why
Well,
relationship and what they've all said?
just general relationship is just connection. It's just a connection of thoughts, ideas, likes, dislikes, those kind of things. So in a general relationship, you're saying that before we start breaking it down into specifics, it's just when you go in the store and you meet somebody and you say, "Hey, how are you doing today?" And they, "I'm fine." Or you guys might be talking about a product and you guys get into a conversation. That's a relationship, whether good, bad, or indifferent. But just a general thing, like Douglas was saying or if we talk about the healthy as opposed to unhealthy, I think it's symbolic or it's significant to how you choose to look at it. Because some of the relationships I have that at some certain periods of time are very healthy, and then some other times because when we hit disagreements or something like that, or and the communication gap gets blurred, it becomes kind of unhealthy or it's bad for different reasons, not bad because it just is bad, like that person is not my friend anymore or something like that. Miscommunications, misunderstandings, and what have you that we run into. Now we have to figure out. I have to figure out whether this is worthy of going forward with or kind of rekindling. Let's go back to square one and try it again. So I think that just why a relationship matters. Well, relationship, we have to have relationships because that's how we function in the world.
Right.
Yeah, we have to have relationships. So whether or not how we choose to go into it, how we do it is a different thing, and it's to each individual how you choose to navigate. I was going with what Jalil said that he's saying being able to maneuver it based on on me being, because I always want to be in charge of it. And I'm not saying that I'm trying to take over already, but I want to be in charge so that I can navigate it to be safe for myself.
Right.
Okay, maybe we don't need to talk about this right now. Me and my son have been in where we just disagree, and it's not okay. Maybe it's just not time. Let's pull this off a bit. I can have this conversation at another time, or if it's two different things, and the relationship says, okay, well, you have your opinion, I got mine. Okay, let's move on. So, kind of think that when you just think about a general relationship, that's just, so,
Okay. That's excellent, excellent responses because I think about like my first relationship, of course, was with my mom, right? Because she had me. But then I think about as you grow up, what are the healthy relationships that we get to see when we grow up? I grew up in a single family home or a single parent home. And so my next, I guess you could say my healthy relationship was my aunt and uncle, Uncle David and Aunt Sophie, because they were really close with my mom. And then as I, grew up a little more, my pastor and his wife. But that's not always the case, depending on where you grow up and how you grow up and who's in that village. And so, and just thinking about what a healthy relationship looks like, Deion, what do you think a healthy relationship looks like?
Personally, as I'm as I've grown in this world with having horrible relationships and good relationships, just like everybody else in this world. You said a healthy relationship? A healthy relationship genuinely is not always perfect. Um, I'm gonna quote the word. The Bible says, "Iron sharpens iron," but with iron sharpening other iron, it doesn't mean there's going to be always good times. Like at the end result is that you guys are both sharper, but the iron striking other iron is friction. So in relationships where you do have friction is not always necessarily a bad relationship. That's as somebody saying, "Hey, you're struggling in this area. You need some help. You need some assistance," and that other person might not necessarily be ready to hear that. So they say, "No, I don't want to hear that. I'm gonna go do whatever I want to do." Um, and as a friend, you have to respect that type of boundary. They are entitled to their own opinion or whatever they want to do. You're not there to control them. So a healthy relationship is where somebody says, "Hey, I want to make you better, and I pray or hope that you are here to make me better." If that's with another woman or if that's with another man, and you guys are buddies, long-term friends, or just brand new, you just met that person. It's like, I think you should not go down that road. They might have more wisdom than you do. They just might be younger or they could be older. So I think a healthy relationship is where iron sharpens iron. It's not always smooth all the time, but there's definitely a want of where I want you to be better in some form.
Okay, so all right, Douglas, I see you nodding.
He cooking.
He cooking. So what do you think about that? I mean, like the iron sharpening iron and the rub, like he said, there's friction.
Well, the great thing if done well, right? So the first thing is when it comes to being relational and me being healthy, I have to be healthy. Everybody won't go themselves and go, "Am I ready to date? Am I healthy? Do I have framework? Do I understand my IQ, my EQ, how I respond, my childhood traumas, things of that matter? Would I actually be good for somebody so that my friction helps this person as opposed to I'm just a project?" So when two projects get together, we have an inherent issue, right? So that's
Right.
most people aren't looking at. If you're healthy, then what you get to do is I have this thing where I say you attract what you are, right? So if I start to get healthy, there's certain things I won't go for, right? Start to look for the things that complete me in somebody else and where I can be of aid. But I don't think the general public does that because nobody wants to look within to see their insufficiencies first, because most people shouldn't be dating. You don't understand yourself well enough to be with somebody else, so
Right.
you become a crutch, or you just love companionship, but there's nothing good that comes out of that. You love
Right.
the idea of being in love. It's pretty pissed.
Mm.
So, but if you get that correct friction, I believe what he's saying is right. It's never going to be perfect, right? But we have the hard conversations and we know where we're going as far as purpose. We have common purpose. We're moving, trying to accomplish the same goals. And where I'm weak, she's strong. And where I'm strong, where she's weak, I'm strong. And we pick each other. But that pairing process and the framework to get there is much more intricate than I think people understand.
Wow. That's deep. And I think everybody that's going to listen later on, they know what IQ is, and I think I know what you mean by EQ, but could you explain what that is?
Emotional quotient. So it's how you show up when things aren't right. So I'll keep it quick. The the best example I heard was a married couple of 40 years. And I asked him, I said, "How'd you get there?" He goes, "We check Audible." And I was like, "Explain." He goes, "When I walk in the house, my wife goes, 'I have an issue.'" And he goes, "What number?" And she goes, "It's a 3." He goes, "Oh, I got time to go upstairs, take my shoes off, come upstairs, right? Get my shit together. All right, cool. Now, what's wrong, babe? You keep leaving the toilet seat up, right? If she says it's a 9, then I sit down right now. What's wrong? Who is Susie?" Right? Those are two different things. But what you learn in that regard is to check your EQ, right? You shouldn't yell at me when I leave the toilet up the same way you yell at me if you think I'm committing adultery. So it causes people you got to check your reaction and how important are things in real time, right? And that would be relationally with your children and co-workers and things of that sort. So when you have good control of your emotional quotient, what you understand is everything isn't worth reacting to in that regard. And then you build framework to be like, oh, I'm getting upset. You don't get words back. I shouldn't say this to my partner because I can't get this back.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Exactly.
So you work EQ, you put framework in motion to make sure that you don't act a damn fool, so to say.
Right. Dr. D, what you got to say about
Yeah,
that?
no, that's right. You know, we've talked about exactly that, in terms of, as we've talked about different, like people's relationships. And I'm telling, like, especially as we get older, people want to move into relationships and stuff. And we've been, and over as we get older, we have developed lifestyles, like a lot of older people, like say somebody's was married and they've been divorced 10, 15 years. And then now you want to have a relationship, but in the 15-year period, you've developed a new lifestyle, and you've got a lot of things going on, and you're doing a lot of things, and you say, well, I'll try to make room for that, but the person on the other side has the same things going on. So as you start sitting there going to say, so how is this actually going to work? And I think, like Douglas was saying, that they put themselves in a situation where now their IQ, because it sounds good on one side, really works, but on the other side, the EQ has been ignored because somebody says, well, you've been at your church since you were a child. And now you want to get with me, and then I want you to come over here. And you'll say, okay, I'll do that. But emotionally, you're having a problem with that because I've been here all my life. Now I'm going to uproot and move. So as he was saying, to have the emotional, to be able to sit down and to talk through some things, those kind of things, so that by the time you get into those places, like I said, you should never have to work at a marriage. The work should have been done before. So we have to work in a marriage. You work, like I said, what color we're going to paint the house, what kind of car we're going to buy, that kind of stuff. That's working in the marriage, but not working at the marriage. We should do that beforehand and having an understanding of where I am emotionally, intellectually, and the same thing with that other person, that we're able to, or as Deion was saying, the relationships of being able to understand where a person is, iron sharpening iron, and there's friction. Then I also said iron has to sharpen against iron. If there's no iron, and you're saying, well, iron sharpening iron, but there's no iron. I'm not getting anything out of it, or they're not getting anything out of it. Then we're out of sorts. And I think that's what Douglas was saying too. He's saying that once I put myself together, which is my iron, and you put yourself together, and we start going together with it. We start realizing that we're sharpening each other. But at some point, if I'm not sharpening you and you're not sharpening me, then why even go through it?
Right.
So, but I think this is something that even young people need to think about, because we get together, even though they have more time and they don't have as much in between. But Doug, my son, gave me something once before. He says, but in a sense we do. He says, because I'm 35, 36 years old. He says, and I've been living. I got my own apartment. I've developed my own. I got my grandson, my son, and I'm. So he says it does fit that way. He says when somebody comes into my life, I have to see where they fit, whether you fit at all. So I think that's the relationship part. As you move further into more specifics, is that we have to talk about, what makes sense, and it has nothing to do with me liking you or not liking you. It has what really makes sense. As we move along and saying, okay, are we having a relationship, and what does that look like? And I don't think people have really thought about that.
Wow. I hope y'all picking up these gems and holding on to this wisdom here, because I'm learning something even from the younger crowd, because,
Yep.
I'm of a certain age, and you wouldn't usually hear are y'all millennials or y'all Gen Y? Which one of y'all?
Millennials.
Okay, so you wouldn't hear a lot of that come from them. It wouldn't be till they're 45, 50 when they're getting it, but it's like y'all getting it now, which is what I love. And I think we all talked about, without even saying the actual term, the flags, right? The red ones, the green ones, and I like to say the yellow ones, because those are the ones like you use some caution. It may not be quite a red flag, but it kind of make you tilt your head like, maybe I'll need to spend no more time with this person. Or you gotta what red and green make what purple or blue, whatever. But it's like, okay, well, we get along here, but like you said, it's iron against plastic, and it's just not working. And then you just stay for the convenience. And I think Douglas was talking about
Mm-hmm.
people don't understand, like, you just get in a relationship to be in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have no rhyme or reason. So speaking of flags, Jordan, what kind of red flags or green flags would you be looking for?
I think for me, the red flag for me would be uh just emotional awareness. I
Mm,
think that's a big one for me. So I feel like uh when you are getting to know somebody and you notice that they can't really give you a full scope of how they are feeling, or like it's hard for them to describe like their emotions. And I understand, everybody have their day where they might feel depressed or whatever like that, but I feel like if they don't know how to kind of navigate that easily, I
mm,
think that's a red flag. I think not keeping their word. I think that's
mm,
a big thing. So like, let's say if y'all plan a date like at Friday at 7 o'clock, right? And then that person like at 6:30 hit you like, hey, I forgot, I'm not gonna be able to, like, stuff like that. I feel like that's one of the things. But I know a green flag would be being able to have hard conversations,
mm.
being willing to communicate when you don't want to, or even like with the EQ part, like I think that's dope. I never heard of that, so I appreciate that. But like even being willing to set up things like that, so we are able to establish like a firm foundation. So
Mm.
when we do get to marriage, it's not like we trying to constantly climb up a hill to get to the
Right.
point we want to get to. So I give another green flag. I think another green flag would probably be supportive. That's
Mm.
another one for me. So yeah.
All right. Oh gosh, y'all just man, Jiele and Ashley, come on with it.
Um, I think a red flag for me would be emotional attachment.
Yeah.
I I feel like people who are running away from their problems or just running away from something and they just want to emotionally attach to you. I think that to me is a bit toxic. And feeling like I have to, like, it's my responsibility to show up for that.
Right. Right.
Um I think a green flag for me would be like what would be the purpose of this relationship?
Yeah.
Like I like people who have a purpose, who have some type of goal, because I feel like you can be within a relationship, but then it's like, what are you working towards
Right.
ultimately? Um, I do like healthy communication. That's a really, really big thing for me, and Jael knows that. I not like go without the day without being like, okay, let's try to work on this, or even a healthy communication and say, let's put this on the table for now and then we'll come back to it. But that's really big for me. And the support as well. I do appreciate someone who can motivate me and inspire me and just help me grow in other ways. So those are really great big green flags for me.
She's spitting wisdom. Okay,
Oh,
go
yeah. That's why I got it.
ahead.
So actually, a story that I want to share as far as pertaining to like green flags. So like, um, when I started to get back into dating, I did a lot of like, I guess you could say, soul searching and just kind of finding like what I actually wanted out of a partner. And so one of the things that I was searching for was like just somebody that brought me like peace. And once I found that or felt that, I was like, okay, this is the person. So like going back in some change years, when I started back dating, and she knows about this, so I can talk about it.
Don't
So
get in trouble.
around that time, I was dating like multiple people, as most people do, and so I was honest with her and also the other young lady, and I remember going on dates with both of them, and it was a situation to where like my old car had broke down, and that day I was supposed to go on a date with the other young lady, right? And so I hit the young lady up and told her like, I'm having car issues. It literally like died on me, so I'm not going. I got to figure that out. And it happened like maybe 30 minutes to an hour before the date. And so the way she reacted was like on some like, well, why you ain't trying to figure out how to, get to me and all this. So it was within that moment, I'm like, wait, nah, this ain't aligning with the things that I'm looking for. So I had that date lined up, and then I had a date, don't judge me, with her a little bit later, I think like next week or something like that. But once I saw her, like right when I saw her, there was like this peace that came over me about the situation. She took me to where we go
Zip
zip
lining.
lining and all of that. And we went to go get something to eat, and we laughed and everything about it. But she didn't make like a fuss about it. She came to pick me up and took me, so there was this sense of like, there was compromise that I saw, and then there was also like compassion and grace that she provided versus being combative and more so like thinking of herself. So that was one big green flag that I was looking for at that time, and she provided that. And so yeah, that's one of my green flags that I was looking for. And I would say a red flag would be, I'm trying to say something different because everybody didn't say like some great stuff. Red flag would probably be
well, you mentioned it with the combativeness.
yeah. I'll leave it at what y'all say. I'll just leave it at my brain because I can't think of nothing else. Yeah.
I'll even, first of all, thank y'all for sharing all that. I would say maybe clingy. Somebody that's, so you're talking about emotionally attached, but also just clingy. Always got to be up under you everywhere you go. I think that would be a red flag. It's kind of spinning off of what Ashley was saying, And wow, Douglas, what you thinking? What you thinking? I see you nodding and shaking your head.
It's always complex on this side. I'm a
That's
nerd.
okay.
Everything for me comes down to agreement, right? So like, what's the agreement that we made? Because somebody, like, if somebody being clingy works for you, then it works for you. So red flag, it may not be another person's red flag, right? Green flag for me always is discipline, right? As Andrew Carnegie, as I grow older, I pay less attention to what people say, more attention to what they do. So I just watch how you show up. I just watch and watch and watch and watch, because when people are impressed with you, they'll give you their representative, so to say, right? Because they're attracted to the lust part. They're attracted to the physical and what this is. But when we get down to the nitty gritty, which is what I love to talk about, is right, approaching 40s and 50s and 60s, all that pretty cute stuff go out the window. We got to do life together. How you well, right? So aesthetic and all that stuff is cute. When you watch you from afar, who was she before I ever told her, oh, I like these things? Because you might try to bend, right? So I love discipline. I love consistency, and just that most generation is missing is the femininity. I love a feminine woman. I love a feminine woman. I'm having a hard day. Just rub my head, damn it. Just rub my head. Give me a hug. Be like, it's cool. Just like, I need that. I don't need another dude in the relationship, right? Be feminine. And I don't even think we need to touch the red flags, right? Because red flags are quite obvious, right? Usually, if I see a woman that wants to be in the streets, let her be in the streets. If she had a bunch of multiple bad relationships and a bunch of baby daddies and all those things, clearly she moved differently than me, right? So I've been in my apartment for 12 years. Yeah, I've been in aerospace for 12 years. There's a consistency there that I can bet on myself. So if I'm looking at a woman, I want to know that she moves that same way, because we got to do life together, right? It's going to be days I don't like you. It's going to be days you don't like me. How do we channel our EQ and we learn to do this together is the easiest way to put it.
So, lady in the streets, but okay, go ahead, Mr. Darrell.
Yeah, he hit the nail on the head, but and I was telling you, we think almost 100% alike in those areas, a few little differences, but I get it. But for me, what does red flag mean? Stop, right? When you drive the street, why is the stop sign red? Because if you go out, if you don't stop, we're gonna have a train wreck, or we're gonna have a car accident. We're gonna run over somebody. Stop for me means to not. If I hit a red flag, like that, it generally tells me to go to stop. It's no need us to go any further than this. Sometimes the yellow flag and what have you, or the orange flag or something like that, the caution flag, we can work with that. But if I hit a red flag, that's saying stop. That's screaming at me, like it's like God saying, don't go any further. So generally, if I hit red flags like that, then this is not going to work out. We can be friends and what have you, that, but I'm not going to take you any further than that, because red flags there for a reason, and
Right.
we shouldn't. And like I said, we shouldn't have red flags. Like they said, that shouldn't be on the table. We can have some orange ones and blues and greens and whatever other colors you want, but anything that creates a caution, I'm cool with that. That doesn't mean slow down and we can work. Okay, let's go around. But if I have to stop, if the red flag pops up, stop, then that's important. That's something that I need to really pay attention to. And I just thought, and I tell people that, because people try to say, well, let's try to work around the red flag. It's almost impossible to work around the red flag, because the red flag was created because it's like somebody jump out in front and say, stop, and that's what the red flag says to me. So if I get that, then chances are, and it hasn't changed yet, that I'm not going to move any further than that.
Yeah.
So that's what the red flag says for me when we talk about flags in any relationship.
Right.
Yeah. And anything that you do in life, there's certain things somebody say, don't go over there, don't do that, don't do this, so I take that real seriously. So if I get a red flag, chances are like I said, we have to function on another level. And now
wait a minute, but what if she's got 3 green ones and 1 red one?
Depends on the red one, if she got 3 greens, it shouldn't be no red. We can have an orange. You see what I'm saying? There can be a caution there but it's not a red. Because people that really symbolically, red means something totally different. People don't realize that like I said, just driving down the street, when you're driving and they're working on the street, they put the yellow cones out and they put and they say be cautious. They didn't tell you to stop. They said be cautious because there's things going on that you need to be aware. But when they say red, that if you pass that, it could be detrimental.
Right.
And that's right. So if you got 3 green flags, then there shouldn't be a red. It should be an orange. And that's something that we should be able to, like he says, sit down and be able to talk about something and work this out. But if there's a red means that we've reached an impasse. And that's impasse is that I believe that this is it and you believe that this is this, and there's no compromise in those areas. And that's not good for a relationship. If we can't, that's a caution. The caution says that we're able to compromise.
Right.
We're willing to work on some things that are workable. Red flags means it's not workable. It's not that we're not. It's not going to go any. Either you're going to go my way, or I'm going somewhere else. So that's kind of how I look at red. When I think, because red is that for a reason. It's a color that screams stop with no explanation.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think without even having this category, when we talk about boundaries, we've already kind of established that a little bit in the red flags and the healthy versus the toxic. But I do want to ask about how family and friends fit into your relationships, or if they do, right? So I'm going to start with you, Douglas. Does family and friends fit in the relationship?
Hell no. No. If I'm married to you, right, my favorite thing is agreement. It's agreement. Right? I'm listening to, I don't want to butcher his name, Jiele, right? And he was making these points, and I'm looking at them with my good eyes. And I'm like, it looks like they have an agreement. It looks like they could do this. They're happy, right? If somebody's clingy and I can deal with your clinginess, that's our agreement, right? So if my daddy don't like you, he don't come home with us. I just need you to be cordial. If my mama don't like you, be cordial to my mama. Be respectful to my family. But I don't need you to get along with everybody, right? The fun thing is I get to compartmentalize all my relationships because I get a chance to be somebody different for the people in my life. So yeah, my son needs this, and my dad need this, and my girl need this, and the homies get this done. So absolutely, it's just a respect that has to be known. When the homies meet a chick, I may not like his chick, right? But he love her, they doing fine, cool. When I see her, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. X, Y, Z. It's not for me to intrude on the relationship and say what I think. Well, I have a whole subset of different entities in which my personality works, which means I need to pick somebody different. But as far as him, if it's working for him and her, then let them be. So the answer would be absolutely not. Compartmentalize your relationships so that they work for you in different realms. But if it's working, I wouldn't let my sister call me and be like, no, absolutely not. No, thank you.
All right, thank you, Jordan. What about you? Does family and friends, does it matter? Do they have a say so?
I think they only ever say so if it's a thing to where, like, if you're talking about like domestic violence, or like emotional abuse, stuff like that. But I definitely agree that everybody's relationship, if it works for them and if it's healthy, then I say to leave it alone. Because I think like sometimes I would look at certain couples and I'll be like, why do they might have like maybe like banter, like healthy banter. I was like, I don't know if that'll work for me, but they seem happy or whatever. So I was like, it's like everybody's kind of different. Well, not kind of, but everybody's different, and especially in relationships. But I do definitely agree. I don't feel like you should let like your mama or your dad like manage or micromanage your relationship. Um, Especially if it's healthy for you. Because I do feel like sometimes people can project like their own past, trauma and stuff like that
Right.
onto like a couple. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's a son or a daughter. And I feel like that's not cool. And then I feel like some relationships, like we was talking about friction, I feel like sometimes you need to go through a certain trials and certain tests to even know if the relationship can withstand like certain storms and stuff like that. So you step in and be like, oh, before the couple gets into friction or whatever. How do they know they'll be able to make it through it if you try to always pamper them or put a band-aid on the wound that need to heal, that need time to heal? But so yeah, I'll say that. Yeah, I'll say that.
So I think it's like seasons. Like you need to see your significant
Yes,
other, whatever, in all 4 seasons. Like how are they on on the freeway when somebody cut them off?
exactly,
And you just
exactly.
left church and you shoot them the finger. Or how are they when they're running late for work? Or how are they when certain things they don't meet certain goals? And do they take it out on you? Do they just own up and say it was my fault and try to do
Right.
better the next time? Or when they're happy, have you ever seen them happy? Do they laugh? Because if they don't laugh, I mean, to me that would be a red flag. You're never happy, so something's up, right?
Yeah.
So I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. You got to see them in different circumstances. Jael and Ashley, what y'all feeling?
So excuse my French, because I'm a parent. I don't think I give a damn about outside opinions. Me and Jael do a really great job at in agreement with what we want to do versus what everyone else wants to do. We talk about it prior to, communicating with the other party to say yes or no, or, based off of what we want to do. I feel like, again, just piggybacking off of what Jordan said, people have a thing where they just project a lot of things, their opinions, their own emotion, their own ideas, their own thoughts onto you. And I just think that I'm my own individual person. So I have my own way of thinking, my own way of decision making. And Jael knows that about me, that other people's opinions, I brush it off and I'm like, I don't care. Because it has nothing to do with me and my life and what I want to do. So me and Jael do a really great job at having that decision making for us in our relationship and what works for me and him.
Yeah, I like that hour. I like that. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, just going back to like the beginning of the relationship, like we was both transparent with where we were at in the talking stage. Like, I shared with her that I had problems with lust and all these other things. So that way I could clean line of communication to just let her. I may not be where you want me to be just yet, but I'm working on these things as we still get to know each other from a friendship level, you know what I'm saying, or platonic level. So, just really making sure we communicate with each other and work through the emotions. And my main thing, which we both agree on, is like we always try to come to some type of logical conclusion. Like I'm very big on that, you know what I'm saying? So if she feels some way, type of way emotionally, like if she needs some space, she'll let me know, and then she'll come back to me with the wordage of how she feels, and then we work. And then because I'm a real logical person, so I'll bring the logic into it. We mix it in, and we get to some type of compromise, and that's the end of that, and we move on to the next thing. So as far as other people having outside opinions, we might both talk to other people that that we kind of confine in. We don't allow that to regulate what we got going on, because we dictate. You know what I'm saying? So because we've grown to have a very solid foundation, so can't nothing really like knock us off. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's where we at with it.
So if you go back and watch this later, when you talked about opinions and talking to other people on the outside, as you said.
The same thing, because I didn't, she'd be on the phone with one of her friends or something like that, and she'll be, "Oh, hey, Jiele," so they know that I'm in the house.
Right.
Like, oh, I know you're talking about.
Dr. D.
Yeah, well, I think that the linkage of relationship again is that, that if you're going to have a relationship, that there's going to be other people in it. Like I said, like I look at what you got. You got a pretty substantial family. Mine is not like that. Ours is a little bit, a little bit more linear. So, but I think how you have to do it, you have to dictate to them what needs to be talked about. So they don't need to know. They don't have to know what I'm doing. They don't have to know where we're at. You'll get what you get. And you come over and we talk, and generally you'll have an idea of some things, but there's some things that you're not privy to. And if you're not privy to, then they can't comment, on that, or I might ask an opinion about something, say, well, what do you think? Blah, blah, blah. But I'm not telling all the meat and the nuts and bolts about the internal parts of what we're going, like they're saying, I can't let somebody come in and interfere with what I'm doing, because I said, you don't have anything to do with this. You need to work out your own salvation. And while you're interjecting and telling me what you think that I should do. I mean, you can make a suggestion, that's fine. And sometimes a suggestion, you'd be like, wow, I'll think about that. That's a good idea. Or somebody will say something, I go, never thought about that. That's pretty cool. But just in conversation, but not in terms of interfering with our relationship and what we're doing. So family and friends have to find their place based on, once again, going back to the building a relationship before we get to building a pre-relationship before we get into a relationship. Those things we have to talk about. How close are you? And I don't want to come home and find Auntie George and Auntie Emily in the house and 45 grandkids running through, knocking stuff over. And that's what we do. You say, well,
wait, no.
We didn't talk about that.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm saying, those are things that, those are things that create red flags, problems, because, well, you're going to have to accept that. No, I don't have to accept that. So we have to talk about that in the boundaries, as you had said at the beginning of how we do this. And we have to come to a mutual agreement, of how we're going to do that. And if you have to, and if you do that, then you can develop that relationship outside of this.
Right.
So you can go visit them, or you could, what have you, or, they can come on by on holidays and we can have family, whatever. But we just, we have to understand that we built this, and this is the plan we put together, and that nobody, like the Bible says, no man should come between. That's family, relatives, kids, dogs, chicken, whatever. Nobody comes in between. No, whatever you got going on. You got so I think that relationship-wise, that people they need to, like you said, put it together and then keep everybody in their place. And then, like you said, to have the respect. You don't have to like me. I don't have to like you, but we should just be able to get along. And if it's that bad, then if you come into my place, then maybe you shouldn't come here. You shouldn't come here. Maybe we should meet out at a restaurant somewhere.
Right.
that, but or vice versa. I won't come to your house because I'm so that you can get back at me for not letting you come to mine.
And you know what? I think that's just across the board. I think everybody's on the same page with that because, you know, again, Douglas, Jiele, Jordan, and Ashley, y'all are saying y'all don't care what they think. And again, your age group, depending on what's going on at home or how they were raised, it does matter if daddy likes him or if mama likes her, and we've seen it on TV, of course, but if you probably witnessed it where some young ladies won't continue dating or even marry him because mom thinks he's just not good enough or whatever the case, or vice versa with the dad. And for the four of y'all to have that wisdom, that insight, it gives me hope, really. It really does. It gives me hope that y'all gonna be all right when y'all get 40, 45, 50, and in your relationships, they're gonna be what they're supposed to be. Because this early on, you know what you want, you know what you don't want, what's gonna be happening. So we're gonna change a little bit. Just
Wait a
real
minute, before
quick.
you go, let me interject
Oh,
one more thing. I think too, in retrospect to finding a mate. I think, and this is just hypothetical but I think that people would look for a mate that would be comparable to what a mother likes. Not 100%. You don't have to, but respectable and something because that's what you want in your own life.
right. That makes sense.
That's what you say. Yeah, you're saying that you'd want somebody, but because the person that's in my life that if they see it, they're happy. Then that they would want that. I don't have to. I don't have to personally always agree, but good person works, and that you're happy, and the family can sense that you're happy, then they should be okay with that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I just wanted to interject that. So I think that like Jiele and Ashley there, I'm quite sure that she seems like a really nice person. I mean, just me and really, and what she's presenting, like even here. If I was dad, I'd be that's all right as long as she seems to be whatever else behind the doors that you guys have that you're working out, it's you and her. But she presents well. She's humble. She's nice. She respects me. She, like Doug was saying, that respect my mother, respect my dad. I know one thing he was saying to women that he dates, take care of and love his son. Love my grandson, and that's important that they come over and they show a genuineness to him. So those things important. Those things like. If he introduced me to and they're doing that, most of the people that I know that have done that, I certainly approve of because if they love my grandson, man, then you win with me. I'm not worried about their part because they're grown and they'll work their pieces out.
Right.
But they've always been respectful of me, and I know that they care about Aiden. Hey, man, that's a win situation.
Right. So, thank you. Douglas, you had your finger up. Were you wanted to say something?
Yeah, respectfully, just. I don't agree 100%, right? Because I think this generation of millennials is different, right? Is that I need you to be respectful, but most of the people that I know, I'm an open book. Most of the people I know are hiding things from their parents, and they don't tell everything. So you don't know what that partner fulfills for that person. Right? You don't get a chance to see who they are as a grown person because they show up to you a certain way because they know you have an ideology of who this person should be. Even though you ain't 100% right, we ain't been in your closet, right? And now that I'm a parent, I understand these things much different to be open. So my son and I talk a different way. And then when I talk to people, I talk a different way. So what I have with my person is between me and my person. My dad, like I said, with all due respect, he doesn't have to understand it. Right? Because at the end of the day, when he picks his person, she might be right for him. And I might be right. My person might be right for me. And because he and I we think alike, but we're still two very different people. Right. So when it comes down to it, it's like, yeah, for sure, she might rub you the wrong way in this way, but she's just right for me in that way. Because we're still two different individuals. If we're going to go psychology, it's Myers-Briggs, it's 16 different personalities. Right. We're all different. Right. We're all different. So you have to get out of your own way to understand that I may need something a little different than you. Right? I already know. Like I'm a tad bit, I think I'm a little bit more aggressive than my pops, right? So that's why I said earlier, the femininity, right? I need the beauty to the beast, right? That's different amongst people, right? So you figure out, you kind of got to walk through that agreement yourself with people, but it always comes back to you first. Am I good with me and I understand what I am? And then what do I need and what can I show up as for this person and check boxes for this person so that that person will want me? And then they check boxes for me. And we do life. I think it's that simple, but it's complex, but it's simple.
Yeah, right. Wow. Woo! Beauty and the Beast. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna switch it up just a little really quick. So we talk about romance. Okay. Remember, this is live. So when it gets posted, whatever you share. But I just want to. No, I'm just playing. Share what you want to share. But I do want to ask, um, what is your idea of romantic, Jordan?
Okay. So my girlfriend couldn't be on here. Her name's Ariane. So, but I can speak for both of us. Or I guess I can only speak from my perspective. She's not here. But yeah. But so for me, to be honest, when I was younger, and I feel like a lot of men are taught this, I always thought romance was just always tied to just sex. Um, and as I get older, and even in this current relationship with me and Ariane, I'm learning that romance, uh, I would say it's the synonym word would be intimacy. And I believe you can achieve intimacy in different aspects, whether that's just having a deep conversation. Me and Ariane, we do Bible studies together, and try to pray together as much as we can. And just doing things that we both like, doing certain activities, even having the hard conversations and allowing each other to be vulnerable and creating a safe space for those times. So I think for me now, I'm learning that romance is not just the sex or like strawberries and chocolate and wax or candle, whatever you into. I don't know. Dang, this jump recorded, ain't it? Amen. But no, so I think romance for me is just constantly allowing each other into intimate spaces, whether that's your mind or maybe your fears or whatever. Just allowing that vulnerable space for your partner. So yeah.
I like that. Thank you. He said, "Oh, this is recorded." Huh? That's okay. That's okay. Douglas, what you thinking?
Jordan cooking.
Right.
Cooking.
Right.
He keeps reiterating that it's gold in relationships and business, anywhere you want to go. It's hard conversations, right? Because it's, hey, look, I don't like that. I don't like that. And you keep doing it. So can we mitigate this situation or can we not? Right? Because that's going to help us do life together. I do this with my son. I do this in space. Look, this ain't cool. Right. And I hope that same person can tell me. And if what we talked about earlier, if my EQ is high enough, I can hear her because she's definitive argument. Like, look, we ain't been on a date in a long time and you busy and that. I want to be seen. Fair. So I think I don't have much to say. I think Jordan's cooking with the idea of those hard conversations, because if people have more hard conversations, like that's real communication. And then you can build on that.
Okay, I want to stay right here, Douglas. I want to ask you about something. You're talking about the hard conversations, just from male perspective. I know you're an open book, but most your age are not.
Right.
So how would you encourage or how would you instruct men to have those hard conversations? Like, where would they start?
Well, you start with the idea that you're talking to the feminine. So I love opening the questions because I let you tell me what it is, but I can also lead it, right? So it's, hey, I can tell there's been an energy in the house. How are you feeling? And then she goes, and you go, damn, okay, cool. Is this like circumstantial? Is this the world making you feel this way? Or is this me making you feel this way? Boom. Then she goes. Now, we can go different. So if it's me, then I go, okay, cool. And then I have to reassess. Is she being emotional or have my habits changed? Right? If it's world, then it's how am I there to, because most people just don't feel hurt. Most people just don't feel hurt. Right? It's the rudimentary that you come home, tell the same stories, and it's trash. If you can come home and listen to one another and we can go, hey, damn, the world's kicking your ass. Well, baby, I got you. Maybe I add another date night. If it's me Don't get me wrong here. If it's me and it's credible, then I need to make an adjustment. If I say I care about this person, the action should reflect what I'm saying, right? So if I'm talking to a young man, and I counsel a few guys, right? It's how do you show up for your woman? How do you check boxes? Because it's a competitive world. I'm in LA, baby. There's cats like me, 3 with hazel eyes and freckles walking around. You might want to be there for your woman, brother.
Right.
You might want to be there. So, but you want to be that person to her that she looks at that and goes, it ain't worth it. Because he ain't gonna check like this dude check. And vice versa, right? Same thing for the woman. Be the feminine. Be like, he coming home, he had a rough day, and maybe he don't have to say it. Maybe you just rub his head, rub his feet, give him his favorite brown liquor. And right? Just be quiet and just enjoy a moment. Or whatever he gets into. He like cars. Hey babe, I got you some money for the car parts. Have fun, or whatever the case may be. Show that you care. And I think I wouldn't put this on a generation. I would put this on people in general, is that we show we don't care. So if you really care about something, the action will directly follow.
I like that. Ashley, you nodding your head.
Yeah, I like that. For me with romance, with me and Jiele, I do actually have a story that I feel like I feel like that made me think a little bit more about myself and then also the relationship. So recently it was his birthday, or both the twins, and I planned something special for Jiele. I planned a brunch for someone to come to the house and cook brunch for us. He had no idea. I had like his favorite liquor that I made. And she did it up. It was really cute. And then I had plans that following Saturday to go to a soccer game. And so when he came into the house, I, had it all planned out. I was like, I'm gonna get us some jerseys and, make it all special and stuff. And then his first reaction was more like, okay, versus it being like really excited about it. So we went to the game. We had a good time. We kind of was just like, whatever this is, let's table it and then we'll come back to it. And so maybe a few days later, he, came up to me and then, told me or asked me the question, did I plan it because he said he wanted to do it? Or did I plan it because this is what I wanted to do? When it comes down to romance, something that I feel like I'm still working at machine in the relationship is listening to my partner more and understanding what it is that they want versus projecting something that I want to do. And I think that's really important because romance on a surface level can be us sitting on a sofa and watching a favorite movie together, right? So when you consider your partner and like, what do they truly want to do? And I just had to ask myself, why wouldn't I just ask him? Like, what's
right.
Man, what do you want to do?
Douglas is nodding like, yeah.
No, like, did not know. I ran out of ideas. I'm asking my friends. I'm like, girl, what can I do? The brunch is not enough. I want to do something else. And then I'm just like, just ask the man what he wants. So that is something that I am learning with just in a relationship when it comes down to the romance and the intimacy and just showing up for your partner. And just the small details for me are what matters most.
And I would just
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
From the other perspective, from my perspective, also as men, we got to be willing to accept when women do things for us, because I've struggled with being on the other end. Like, I'm very like, I take out to eat and all this other stuff. Like, I'll pay for things when we go out to do things. So sometimes it's hard for me to be catered to, if that makes sense. Within that moment when she did do it, I just didn't, for some reason, I didn't have the reaction that I felt like I should have had. Because in my brain, it's like, why are you not excited about this? Like, she went out her way to do this, like, and all this, but it's not clicking at the moment. So, within that same conversation, when we talked about it, post us doing everything, like, I just shared, like, I'm just not used to, just
Me doing things for you.
not just accepting the fact that, oh, she's willing to do something for me, because it puts me in a space to where I have to be vulnerable and accept that I'm not the person leading something, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, just within that same breath, like I'm also as a man just learning how to just accept when my woman does something for me. So
Yeah. Yeah, and that's growth. That's maturity. That's growth and maturity. I mean,
yeah,
again, y'all are figuring that out, right? So, Dr. D, what you got to say about that?
Romance is internal,
Mm,
and it's you may relate to this. In the 70s, when people sang about love songs,
mm,
people sang about romance,
mhm,
and romance was internal. It wasn't doing things. It was about me say, I can't wait to get home when I get off work. I can't wait. I can't wait to. I'm going. My girl left me, and I'm on a journey to find that woman. I'm not never. The romance is internal. It's. I believe it's like God given. It's something when two people read romance. It's not an external thing. It's not about what you do for me. I mean, externally. I mean, that naturally comes out of the internalness. But externalness comes out of the internalness.
mhm,
But somebody just come in and hold your hand. Somebody
mhm,
just look at you a certain way. Somebody just touch you, and it's just like it just sends a vibe through your body.
mhm,
It's like the romantic piece takes you out, like you're saying. Somebody say, well, I want to make love or dance to the love song all night long. In other words, it's the romantic connection is like, I'm not thinking about anything external, just being in that presence. So
mhm,
that's when we talk about romance or somebody saying that. And I relate to what you were saying about that, being able to accept that. But in a real romance, it passes that. It surpasses what I feel, what I want. It goes all the way past that. It takes you into a place that almost, like you see in movies and stuff, the romance where somebody fall in love and the light bulbs go boom. You see, yeah, and but that's the romance that they talked about, of, people falling in love and being truly in love, to
mhm,
be surely all the external things come out of that. But a true romance, you don't have to do any of that.
mm,
On my birthday, if you just walked in and gave me a kiss and hugged me and told me I loved you and walked out of the room, that'd be all I needed in a romance.
mhm, mhm,
So, but people are saying, well, yeah, that was my birthday and they did this or they did that. And then they're doing it because it's your birthday. I want to do something for you. But romantically, I should already be doing something for you.
mm,
I should already be, in other words, so I go to work and I want to go home because I want to be with you. And I come home and you're already at home and you're already laying on the couch. You already got your robe on and whatever. You got the water running and you're running in the bathtub and what have you. You see, that's
yeah.
the romance. Yeah, right. Yeah, the romance. That. So that's what romance is. That it's past.
I'm taking notes. I'm taking
Yeah,
notes.
I think it's past. It's
Mm,
past all that. That and that's something that happens internally. It's not. I don't think it's something that we develop. I think it's something, and that's what I was talking about. Being
mhm.
with somebody that really it does something. I think what's the twins' name? Jalal. Yeah, I think that's what he was saying when he met his wife. Her, he said it was just something like magical happened. She just fitted. I
You
felt
gave him
calm. I
peace.
felt the peace. Yeah, she gave him peace.
Mhm,
That's romantic. And then I know she's trying to say, okay, well, let me see what I can do to keep that. All you have to do is just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep giving him peace, and that's the romance. And there's nothing that surpasses that, and there's nothing and you can live the rest of your life that way. Well, if we stay that the romance is internal and it's creating that passion to be with another person. So that's what when I think about romance, it's not something that's created. It's not something that we can make. It's something that's internally that's it's a chemistry.
mm,
I'm a musician, so I play with a lot of different people, and there's people I can play with, and I'm like, that was good. But then there's other people I play with, and it's just like, wow, it's just a chemistry. That's something that just happens, and you say, man, that that kind of a deal. So that's kind of how I looked at it when we talk about romance.
Wow. Woo. All right, so we've got a little bit more time left, and I want to close with this one, this question for everybody. So as a couple or individual or with your person, what does the relationship with God look like? How does that fit? Now, I know Jordan explained that, I'm not explained, he shared that he and Ariane, they pray together, they have Bible study together. And I know a little bit of Jiele and Ashley, but I want y'all to tell other folks that's going to see this later. But in Douglas and Darrell, and I'll answer that question myself. But relationship with God, if you're a believer, before you get to even the dating part, that's part of the conversation, right? We were already talking about having certain conversations before you even get to a certain stage in a relationship. And so, how does that play in your dating or you're living together or whatever that is, whatever that relationship would look like for you? I'll start from my right, according to my screen, which is Jordan. How does that relationship with God, other than what you've already said, but how pivotal is that in you and Ariana's relationship?
It's definitely it's really the center, to be honest. I'm not gonna say, and I'm not gonna act like I'm perfect with that, because it's still like relatively new to me. But I would say that it's been an anchor for our relationship. Even when we first started to get to know each other, we genuinely started as friends. And I think, to be honest, Ariana is, yeah, she's probably the first girl that I actually started off as like friends, and we was like, hey, we just gonna take this slow and let's just see where it go. But also we established, I mean, we met in church, so but we also established like, we want to try that the no sex before marriage thing and all that stuff, and um also just incorporating Bible study and praying together. And I know I keep saying hard conversations, but even having the hard conversations and praying about it separately. But I think also having a relationship or inviting a God into your relationship also allows both people to individually grow and also grow as a couple. Because I feel like a lot of people lose their identity when when they come together, which is not a good thing. Because I feel like when you are dating somebody and it's the right person for you, and that friction comes along, you're able to one have discernment of like, okay, God, why is this happening? What do I need to do? And then he's able to guide both of y'all along that journey. But I feel like when you don't have God, just my personal opinion, we don't have God in the center, you go off of your own personal, maybe past trauma or whatever, and you don't have that spiritual guidance that you would need in certain situations. So I do believe having God in the center of your relationship is is very pivotal. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
Jael and Ashley.
Yeah, so just to be transparent, that's something we both need to work on as far as because we both believe in God just to start off, but I think both of us are still trying to understand who He is to us because everybody has their own walk with God. So, we both are still trying to figure out what that looks like for both of us. But with that being said, I think we still have the fundamentals of what God is. It's like, love and showing grace and compassion towards, people. So that element is still heavy within our relationship. It's just as far as like what Jordan was saying, like, incorporating Bible study and praying together, like that's something that we definitely need to get better at or want to get better at. But yeah, I think it's like very important though. So did you guys?
Anything, Ashley? Okay.
Um, Well, I'm a little bit more sensitive when it comes down to those kind of conversations. I'm a little bit more private, I should say. Like Jiele, he pretty much mentioned like we do have the fundamentals of what God looks like within our relationship, or the those type of qualities within our relationship. Um, I feel like what other people do with their relationships would be great as far as Bible study and going to church together, maybe, and incorporating those things. I think I'm just trying to figure out with Jael, like what can work for me and him, right? It may not be Bible study, it may not be going to church, it may not be those things just because other relationships do it. Now, I applaud them. I learn things from other like relationships who incorporate those things, but I don't necessarily want to feel like I have to do that because it works for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're in a space of trying to figure out what works for them.
Right. Good. That's
Yeah, we come from two different backgrounds,
yeah.
and to be transparent, I didn't grow up in a church home. You know what I'm saying? Like my parents didn't go to church. Like the only time I really went to church is if I was at my grandmother's house.
Mm.
Or it was, Easter or, things like that. And so just
CMEs, Christmas, Mother's Day, and Easter.
right. And, being transparent, like I seen the Bible, at home, but as a child, did I necessarily understand what that meant? I didn't. I'm just like, okay, we got the Bible in the house, but we ain't really in it. So
Right.
I'm trying to, as an adult, get some of that understanding. And I think that I have to do searching on my own, which I've been doing that, and then also incorporating what works for our relationship.
Right. Thank y'all, Douglas.
Man, they my favorite couple. I don't need to hear shit else. Excuse me. They my favorite couple because if you were to put some people in front of a camera today and try to show them what love is, most people lie. Most people just lie like they got it together, and that ain't it, right? They communicate. Well, shit, I didn't know how to feel, bro. She took me on a date. Nigga was vulnerable. Woo, right? Yeah, we don't have to agree with what your parents' spirituality was. Somebody, grandma, because grandma was Christian, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I just want to say that they're my favorite couple already. But with me, I'm a very spiritual person. So once again, this also shows up as your discipline. Religion, in any which reign from any demographic, usually adds structure to a person.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even if you were born in India or anything else like that, it's adding structure. So how do you adhere? For me, it's how do you adhere to what you say you believe? Right? Because there's some really messed up Christians out there, and there's some people that really do abide by what they say. There's some people that are non-religious and have a great family dynamic and take care of their kids, and there are people that say they're religious, and we all know that end of that story.
Right.
So for me, it's once again, it goes back to the discipline of how you show up, right? Because if there is a God, no matter what denomination, how would this entity want you to show up, right? And in my mind, that's thinking, well, maybe not hurt the next man and push the progression of the next culture or whatever, right? So for me, it's always there should be a God talk. I don't think it's reasonable to say there's no God to somewhat of an intellectual, right? Because then I couldn't date an atheist or something like that. But also, like, what's your belief system outside of like principle wise, right? Did the man walk on water? I really don't care. How do you treat people, right? How do you show up and show the God in you? If there's a creator and we say that this entity cares about things, how would you show up to show that you care about things, right? So that's what that means to me. So it falls right back into the discipline thing. So if you say you believe in God, now I'm really watching you because I want to see how you show up on the behalf of your maker.
Right.
And that's any entity or any demographic that you show up in.
Right. So stay right there, Douglas. Do you believe in soulmates?
No.
Jordan and Jiele, Ashley?
I believe in agreements. What that couple has right there, I don't have to look far because I do this. I'm that guy. I do. What they do is they communicate, right? They communicate in their understanding. They communicate to understand. What most people you're going to see is they're going to tell you what they think and what they feel, and they're going to go, well, this is what it is.
Right.
And I need you to follow that or it's nothing. And that's not how relationships come about. So I don't have to sit here very long on the phone with them. Just watch the transparency and watch how they move and how they groove, right? I can tell you if I went out there with them right now, I could have a great time because I could just mend in what they do.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody has an ego, nobody this or that. Man, I had to figure this out. She's like, I'm growing. That's what people need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I need to grow with you, understand you. There's no, like, we have our principles, but the right and wrong shit, you not sure. I'm not sure. We all just going through this. Who got the answers? I'll wait. Right. So that's why I'm saluting them so much, because I just, once again, as I grow older, I pay less attention to what I hear and more attention to what I see. Right. I can see it in real time. So the reason it's prospering is because they're trying to figure these things out. If more people did that, right? I'm not going to condemn you because of your religion. Half these people can't decipher the Bible, let alone follow it.
Right.
So what are we talking about? I'm going to look at how you show up as a person. How would you, if there is a creator, how do you show up on the behalf of what you would think the creator would want you to show up as?
Right.
In any demographic. But yeah, they're my favorite couple.
Soulmates.
Yeah, so just answering the soulmate question, I don't know if I think it's soulmates or just people that just coexist very well, because you might just meet somebody to where it just, it just clicks. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really have like an answer. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think you can have a lot of strong emotional, physical, or whatever type of connection with multiple people to kind of bind you. But not sure about that. Yeah.
See, my favorite couple. Right there.
Jordan?
Yeah, I don't necessarily believe in soulmates either. I believe in if you find somebody that works for you, I'll just believe you just making the decision to make it work every day and choosing that person. So I feel like you could do that with another person that matches, if y'all match as far as like characteristics and all that stuff. But I don't believe there's just one person solely for you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Dr. D, I'm gonna have you close out with these three. I have kept you last on purpose. And so these are like just reflection, and he's gonna kind of give us some exit advice. So number one, what is the best relationship advice you've ever received? Number two, what's a lesson you learned the hard way in love? And number three, if you could tell your younger self one thing about relationships, what would it be? So the first question is, what's the best relationship advice you've ever received?
I don't know. I don't think I've got it yet. I mean, really, I don't know. That's kind of open. That's kind of hard because I don't know. I don't know who could give me the best relationship advice other than me having my own relationship and finding out on my own. Almost like the couple says, they're a bunch of question marks. So, like Ashley says, she says, well, I'll hear somebody say something and say, okay, that's pretty cool. So I kind of put that in the data bank. But as we go down the line, it may not, it sounded good at the onset. Just doesn't kind of fit the scheme of things. So I think the best advice is the advice that they give each other that as they're growing. I agree with Douglas in retrospect to them being honest about where they are, and I appreciate that because, like he says, you get in front of people and you will say anything we. So I kind of think the best advice is, the advice that works. So it depends on where they are and who they talk to. So somebody just might be at the place and time to say exactly what they need to move that relationship to the next level. So I kind of think that kind of thing is the best advice. You know, it depends on where it is. So somebody may say something to me today about something, or I've given advice, and then tomorrow somebody else says something, and that the advice that they give them actually fits maybe even better than what I give them. So
Right.
yeah, so I don't know about the best advice because, advice is like, the word they used to say with buttholes, we all have them, so people have advices, they just give it a bunch of it, and we just, so is it working? Does it, you say something that resonates in my heart, or say something that resonates, and then that's the best advice that you could possibly give. What's the second question?
What's a lesson you learned the hard way in love?
That's real hard. You know why? Because I've never been in love.
Mm.
I've never really just been in love. Most of my marriages were, one was out of convenience, the other one I was back when I was addicted to drugs. I was in a marriage, and I was just in it. So I've never really just been in love. So as people talk, I couldn't speak on that because I haven't been there yet. So I couldn't say what that would be. So
get honest, D. That's right. Get honest.
That's right. Yeah, that's real. I have never been in love. And people don't get that because they think, oh, well, this and that. I remember, and I have to use my son as this one, my second marriage, when it fell apart, and he came over and yelled and cussed me out and was mad at me. And I had to let him have it. I was trying to let him have it. I said, I get what you're saying, but when I got real honest, I got into that marriage out of convenience.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? And it worked for me. I was manipulating at the time, and it worked for me till it didn't work. And I loved her as a person, but I wasn't in love.
Mm.
So I have yet to experience what it feels like to be in love. So that's where I sit with that one. So 3.
Okay.
What's number 3?
Number 3 is, if you could tell your younger self one thing about relationships, what would it be?
Be careful.
Mm.
Be careful, and pay attention to the messages, the things that have been given. Because at a certain time, I wasn't really concerned about that. Because you're not going to be, because any woman that I talk to in any situation is a relationship. Good, bad, or indifferent. It's always a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to say that, in any of the relationships, whether it's platonic or like a work relationship or a relationship, it's all the same. There's still a relationship, and then we have to find out that you got people that you work with that you can't get along with. So we have to work along the lines of, and you have friends that you have relationships with to a certain degree, and I'm cool with you at this point. And then there's other friends that you can go to that you might have a different relationship, you might get a little deeper on this end, so that kind of a deal. It's kind of and then, like you said, with having a relationship in a relationship that you're trying to be romantic, then I'd have to look at, what am I doing?
Mm.
Am I just in this because I just want to jump in bed and have sex? Okay. Am I looking for a relationship in this? And then, like Douglas said, I have to know me. Am I capable of having a real relationship? Am I able to give all of me, the best of me, to be able to have a certain relationship?
Right.
So there's so many factors. And I wanted to speak on one more thing before we start, because you were talking about the God part, the God in a relationship. So I was saying that it's so subjective, and I think what happens for the younger people now is that as they've watched, my son would tell me all the time, he says, I sat in a church, as an armor bearer for a pastor, and half the women in the congregation, that the girls was coming in, women that I've been with, and I know who they are, I know their personalities, and you sitting up here perpetrating in a church, trying to look like I'm holier than thou. And he said, I know, because as soon as I get out of here, if I clap my fingers, you're coming over my house. So yeah. So when we talk about relationships in a marriage like that, Darrell and them saying, they're saying we're working it out. So I don't even like yourself and myself, long time in the church, long time in it's no different than what they're going through. And you know, people have been in the church for 100 years, deacons and all of them, and they're no further along than any of them.
Right.
You know, they just sit in a church and you're going. But the reality is saying that the practicalness of having a real, like I was telling people, have you ever thought about that? Scripture tells us that you're going to stand before God and He's going to say, "I never knew you."
Right.
So that means you was doing this and you was doing that and you was in church, you was praying, jumping up and down, hollering, hooping, and singing in the choir. And He says, "I'm looking in the book. I don't even see your name because I never knew you." So in and of that, one of the things is it's important to me that I want to be with somebody that I believe that God will look in that book and say, "Oh, Laura Franklin. Oh, Darrell Wright. Oh, there's Douglas Wright. Oh, there's, you know, I'm seeing he's looking, I'm seeing the names because I know you personally, not because of what you're doing, like you said, all the stuff that goes along, but that I know you because you came to me for real and you're open and you're honest. You're saying, you know, Scott, I'm not real sure who you are. I'm not sure how to do this. I really don't. I admit today I don't feel like doing this. You know, no, really. But that's a real relationship, just like you have with anybody else. You know, you have that's how you get to know people, by talking to them and being and learning what they like, what they don't like. And I think God does the same thing. You know, He knows you naturally, He knows who you are, but the reciprocal relationship that He's saying that I need to hear it. I need, you know, like people say, I need you to say it. Let me hear you say it. Let me hear you say it. You know, and that's what He's telling us. He said, I want to hear you say it. I want to have a relation. I want to be able to put your name in the book. You know, so when I think about God in a relationship, sure, I think I'd love to have somebody in my life that has God in their life, but I need to see the character. And to really be able to see, because your God should permeate in my spirit.
Right.
You understand? That's we were talking about the pre thing again. That's where you start saying, okay, where is God in this? Is He really in this? Because it's not cerebral. It's in my heart, and then that I can feel that, and then that transforms into the romance and all the rest of that stuff. It just kind of permeates it through the rest of your life. It permeates in how you do your job, and how people talk about you. People see the genuineness of who you really are, in spite of all your faults and stuff like that. So, well, Darrell's this and that, but I know one thing. I know he loved God, and I know God is working in his life, and those kind of things. So that's the importance to me of having a relationship with somebody that it sits that way. And that's a God thing, not a human thing. So we can't make that happen. We cannot have somebody say, well, we can work that out. No, we can't work that out. And like he says, the soul part, the soul, there's a whole bunch of women out there that could probably fit the genre. You understand what I'm saying? But you can't, we're not looking for a whole bunch of women, just looking for the one that feels the need. And but it has to, especially where I'm at now in my life. I'm not young like Douglas and them. They still got plenty of time to be stumbling and fumbling and figuring it all out. I've done all that. And so at this point in my life, it has, like I said, I'm in the fourth quarter. For you sports fans, when you throw the football, I got to catch it. Now, I may only get a yard or 2 yards or 5 yards, but I got to catch the ball. I can't afford to be fumbling and, so I just wanted to say that before but I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the comments, you guys, man. It was really good, man. It's real stuff, man. Real stuff. And we want to try to do more of this. Now I'm going to say this in front of you guys. Next time we got to put Laura in it, because Laura did this on purpose. She put herself so she's not on the tables.
Somebody got a host.
Yeah, somebody got a host. Yeah,
somebody got a host. Thank you.
We can use that.
I promise next time we do this, I'll be on the other end.
Yeah, and then what we do is we put it out there so that we put it in and we just all get in it, because it's all good, because it's a benefit for all of us, man. And I appreciate you, Douglas, for coming on, because I asked him, and I told him about it, but I just mentioned it last night, and I just said if he could. So I really appreciated you, Jordan, Jalal and Ashley, you guys, Jonathan, all of you guys, man. I think it's great, and hopefully we can expand this. You guys can probably send in some stuff, give some questions, and listen. Let's have the real conversation, because I love that. I love it, and I love where to talk to people where they are, not trying to change, not trying to turn people around, but just having conversation that somebody can take something away from and think about that helps them become better. So.
Right. So with that, again, thank y'all. Thank you to my sons, my nephews, my niece. Thank you, Douglas. Thank you, Darrell. I know Deion had to jump off because he had another event, even though I did ask him first. But when you get to this age, you become a necessity, not a priority. So, but
That's a
again,
conversation.
right. So for those who will look at this later on, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, Brown Liquor Conversations on YouTube and Facebook. But again, don't y'all go away because I'm going to stop the recording, but y'all stay on here.